We're back at the Faculty Factory podcast, and I'm Kim Skorupski at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas, looking at a new guest, new member, new friend to the Faculty Factory world, Dr. Amery Treble-Barna. Hi, Amery.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Friends, Dr. Amery Treble-Barna is an associate professor of physical medicine and rehabilitation, psychology, and clinical and translational science, the director of Momentum, Leadership Development and Group Coaching for Scientist Mothers, the associate director of the Saffer Center for Resuscitation Research, and a newly appointed director of faculty well-being and vitality for the health sciences at, drumroll, the University of Pittsburgh. Love all things Pittsburgh because I am an Erie girl after all. Amory is doing so many cool things. I'm so excited. This is a new topic for us where we're going to dive deep into well-being and vitality with a very niche, nuanced angle. And I'd love it if, Amory, you could tell us all about how you got started in this space of scientist mothers.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. About 5 years ago, I had my first child, and around the same time, I anticipated and started to experience how challenging it would be to have this career in science as a principal investigator and being a mother at the same time. I also had a friend and colleague who was a few years ahead of me on the mother side of things. She came to me and it was during COVID, and she said that scientist moms are struggling and I should be the one to do something about it. And I thought, you're right. And so I ended up founding a program at Pitt called Momentum, which is, as you said, it's a leadership development and group coaching program for scientist mothers. So all the cohort members are research intensive faculty in one of our schools of health sciences and identify as being a mother of school-aged or younger children. It's a competitive program. Faculty have to apply to get into it, and then we accept 12 scholars per year. We're launching our fourth cohort this month, and the program is supported through our Institute for Clinical and Research Education.
Wow. So, congratulations, kudos. That's no easy lift. Speaking from experience, I know sometimes when I've taken programs and you think, sign up, show up, hang around and then kind of take off, you don't, many times we don't realize all the work that goes. It's not just getting a room and throwing out some soft drinks and some coffee
Oh, yeah.
and yak, yak, yak. It's incredible work and
Yes.
so congratulations to you for doing that.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing it. And I would love to understand more why you.
That's a great question and something I've thought about. I think that this person probably saw me sort of parenting out loud, if you will. A lot of parents tend to try to hide or not talk about family or personal life at work because there is this motherhood penalty that we know about in academic medicine. So I think she probably saw that in me. She's also a good friend and colleague and probably saw that I firmly believe that I and we as women can do hard things. I also believe that the systems in which we are working and living were not designed with us in mind, and they create unique challenges for this intersection of being a scientist and being a mother. And I think that there are many things we can do both individually and collectively to make it better for ourselves as well as for the next generation of scientist mothers coming up the ranks.
Love it. Before you get into describing these challenges of very productive principal investigator scientist moms, so before you go down that path, could you go back still to, I'm still want to know more about you. What did that look like for you when
Mhm.
your friends saw you, parroting you said parenting, talking about the challenges. So can you remember some things that you either consciously decided, when I have this baby, I'm gonna
Mm,
XYZ, or I'm not gonna ABC. What were
mm,
some of those things you did, or what did that look like
hmm
that made you kind of own that title and proudly say, no, I'm not just gonna keep this on the down low? What kinds of things did you do
hmm
or not do?
Great question. I use the phrase parenting out loud, right? So, talking about my kids at the beginning of the meeting, especially if I'm leading a meeting, checking in with everyone, how are you? And sharing a little anecdote about my life, which is often going to be, oh, my 2-year-old was up all night, or my 3-year-old, you know, whatever it is. Just, I think showing that vulnerability and showing that you're a human and a person with a whole life. And then that allows other people to bring their whole selves to work. I think that's really important. I think that's important to model for our trainees and mentees that they're allowed to be whole people at work. Um, I think this friend and colleague also was aware that I stop working at 3:30 p.m. 5 days a week to get ready and drive to my CrossFit gym, and I do the 4 p.m. workout 5 days a week. I start working much earlier in the day than many to compensate for that. It's a little scary to say, publicly that I stop working at 3:30 p.m., but I'm still able to get everything done that I'm supposed to be doing and more. So I think she saw that as well, and kind of aspired to it, and maybe was why she kind of identified me as someone who should tackle this problem.
Wow, Amory, that is courage. So you're describing, and I have to apologize. I thought I heard you say parroting, Parrot, like the bird,
Oh,
parroting. And I thought you were like, oh, you're parroting, meaning you were kind of like going along with the party line of, sure, I'm here 15 hours a day.
okay.
But you were saying parenting out
Yes,
loud.
parenting out loud. Yes.
Parenting out loud. And I love that. And it sounds to me like you were absolutely not the keeping it secret, slinking in the office and slinking out the door,
No.
rather not being afraid of going, oh, there goes Amory again. She got to get to her gym class at 4 o'clock. How does she get away with this? Like, would she work in a, 4 hour
hmm
banker's out? That was not at all what you were saying. You
Right.
were conscious of the fact that I get in here before all y'all
hmm
so that I can get out of here
hmm
early to go take care of my physical and mental and emotional health
Yes.
that then allows me to be the best mom I can be, which
hmm
then allows me to be the best scientist I can be. So that
Exactly.
just not being shy to say, no, my kid's got a soccer game, or
hmm
no, I need a massage. Just confidence in saying, as you put so nicely, I'm a I'm a human being, and I'm not
hmm
going to live two separate lives here and be two separate entities. I'm a
Yeah.
human being with these intersecting
hmm
uh, Venn diagram life things. Stuff
hmm
happens, and we all have things happen, and I'm going to own it and be out loud. So thank you for giving me that new language, parenting out loud. So I love that you did that. And again, kudos to you for the courage to not worry about getting arrows slung at you. And even if people do kind of raise an eyebrow or go, oh, must be nice, your productivity speaks for itself.
Exactly. And I think it's so important to normalize that and show that I can be an engaged parent and a highly productive researcher.
Yeah.
I can do both of those things successfully.
And it doesn't have to, and all those things can be done in a way that works for me, which
Yes,
may not work for you.
exactly.
And at this season of my life right
hmm
now,
hmm
this is functional.
hmm
And in maybe 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years, that may be different.
Yes.
That looks different before we have kids when we're postdocs and doing residency, and then it looks different in the different phases of our lives with what challenges we have with our own parents' health, with our health, our partner's
hmm
health, etc. So that
hmm
I love how you embrace that where am I right now? And this is what works for me. Thank you very much. And I invite you to find something that works for you. You don't have to jam your life into some hypothetical or antiquated notion
Mhm.
of what it means to be a scientist, that you have to be
Right.
here at 4 in the morning and here till midnight.
Hmm.
So I love this. Great message, Amory. Would you talk some more about these challenges? I really want to learn more about the challenges.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, um, I've talked to so many scientist moms about what the greatest challenges are that they're facing. And then, of course, being one, I'm facing a lot of the same challenges. So I think some of the greatest challenges are competing priorities, like directly competing priorities, and impossible expectations. So, expectations from society of women and mothers specifically, which many of us have internalized, combined with the expectations in academic medicine and for scientists. If those expectations are not intentionally reined in, I think, we could work 12 hours a day, 365 days a year, and there will always be more work to do. There's always another paper to write, always another grant we should be pursuing,
Yeah,
data to analyze, right?
correct.
So I think, given all of that, many scientist mothers can feel like they are inadequate in some of their roles or all of their roles, and worse, sometimes feel that they are failing across the board. It's very easy for these impossible expectations to take a really significant toll on our well-being. So, for example, I hear from so many scientist moms and experience for myself that they feel like they can never just be present where they are. When they are working, they are feeling guilty about not being with their kids, or they're thinking about all of that cognitive labor that they shoulder as a parent or a mother. And then when they're at home, they're trying to squeeze in those emails on their phone constantly, or if not, they're with their kids, but they're thinking about work constantly and not able to enjoy that time.
Ugh.
And we know from the literature that, we know that feels terrible to not be present where you are. It's also really hard for a health and well-being.
I mean, when did this happen? What do you think are some of the reasons? I mean, you obviously pointed out the competing priorities and possible expectations in academic medicine in general, but do you remember early on, like your mentors, your advisors having these same kind of challenges? I'm always curious, like what, what happened? Technology was supposed to save us, to help us. I remember olden days of file cabinets and paper and copiers and just the labor of going to the library and going through I can't remember what it was called, the index, what was those called? The something where you'd go to there was an old
Mhm.
box and you'd go through index cards. I mean, that was so laborious. And when
Mhm.
computers came around and then of course smartphones, it was supposed to save us so much time and effort. And we don't, things are so easy now, relatively speaking. What in your mind is some of the, like, what's the cause of this? What can we cut something out? Can we fix something? What broke that
Mm.
just kind of amplified the stress and the chaos and the feeling like we're always on this treadmill that just goes faster and faster and creates this imposter syndrome? What in your mind do you think are some of the reasons why we've maybe, if you will, gone astray?
What comes to mind for me is sort of what I alluded to earlier, in that these systems weren't designed for us. So many of our work environments were designed for white men with stay-at-home wives who are taking care of all of the home and child needs, right? So I think that's a major part of it. Um, you asked about mentors. I can't think of any mentors during my earlier, like during undergrad or graduate school, that really were modeling this out loud for me. Like obviously I had women mentors who were mothers and who were successful scientists, but they weren't talking about it.
Mm,
I think it still is and was so taboo, or
mm.
there's evidence for this motherhood penalty. So it makes sense. It's logical to not want to put that label on yourself, to not want to bring attention to the fact that you are a mother and have all these other responsibilities, because people then make assumptions about you that you're not engaged or you're not productive or that you don't want these opportunities that may be coming up, which is a real shame.
Ah, Amory, you're making me think now. I'm reflecting back on my mentors, and I remember two females, and one was not married and had no children and was just practically lived at the lab.
Hmm.
And then my other primary mentor, she had two children, but her mother moved in with them, and her mother was essentially the grandma, raised the kids and took care of the household.
Hmm.
And she wasn't, overt about that, but it was very clear that my mother fixed this great meal last night, or my mother took the kids. And so
Hmm.
you're right. I think when you talk about systems, that unfortunately many of us at this micro level, the person level, we are beating ourselves up for our perceived inadequacies, thinking, what's wrong with me? Why
Hmm.
can't I figure this out when it's a system level?
Yes.
It's almost like when people say, why don't I have the willpower to, eat healthy? What is wrong with me? Why can't I just stick to a healthy diet when all around you is the Whataburgers and the fast
Hmm.
food places that is fast in air quotes, but it's cheap,
Yeah.
it's fast, it's convenient. I
Yeah.
don't have a place around me that gives me a fast salad that's fresh and at the
Hmm.
same price. So that's kind of like it's not just you. It's not that you don't have willpower or you lack determination or you lack conviction or focus or purpose. You can have all that and at some point the system is designed a
Yes.
certain way. The grocery stores are designed a certain way that if you want the staples like bread and milk, you have to wend your way through the supermarket on purpose. It's designed that way so that you're going to go, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that as you're seeing other things. So
Hmm.
there is a system level forces at play here. So I appreciate you calling that out to maybe mitigate some of that self doubt and kind of beating ourselves up to recognize,
Hmm.
yeah, how does the system, what's inconvenient about this, and how we have to maybe create our own systems. And it sounds like you have built a system now in the fourth year,
Hmm.
a new way of being and being present. So, again, this is awesome. I can't wait to hear more about the program. And if you could describe it to us, I mean, and I don't want to like lead you off. And if you want to comment on all my ramblings, please do. But yeah, this is cool stuff.
Thank you. There is another, so we've sort of touched on the challenges of like these impossible expectations and competing priorities and the toll it takes on women's well-being, which is super important. I think there's another aspect or another type of challenge, which is important to mention, which is that these expectations and these feelings of overwhelm that so many scientist mothers are experiencing also take a toll on our professional fulfillment, and our career advancement. So I think so many scientist mothers are living in survival mode, where they're constantly putting out fires. We can get into this state, which I've heard referred to as tunneling, where you're just sort of in this cycle of doing the work that's directly in front of you, often your inbox, right? Rather than taking the time to step back and really be strategic about how you're spending your time, making sure that how you're spending your time is aligned with your top priorities, your top skill set, um, networking and sponsorship, all of these really important things. But if you're constantly in survival mode, just trying to check things off the list, you're not taking the time to be strategic about your career and make sure that it's fulfilling and inoculating yourself against burnout. So that's another major challenge that I'm seeing for scientist moms.
Yeah, so true. So true. When we're in that emergency mode, there's no room for it, creativity,
Yes.
entrepreneurship, as you
Yes.
said. That's why I was reading something, was it James Clear? The reason why many of us get great ideas in the shower is
Mm-hmm.
because it's not necessarily just the healing waters, but it's the one time where we're just kind of like, "Ah, you're by yourself, it's
Mm-hmm.
quiet, it's time to just kind of zone out a bit, or if you're meditating or walking, or
Mm-hmm.
but we don't do that enough where our brain's like, I got lots of great ideas up here,
Yes.
body. If you would just stop for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
the answer is in us. But
Yeah.
I never heard of this tunneling. You're right. When we're just feel so like I can't. What can I do? I can do the easy things,
Mm-hmm.
the dumb things,
Yes.
versus the work of thinking and dreaming and being creative and collaborating and
Mm-hmm.
looking for opportunities. I don't have time for that. Well, guess what? You don't have time for that. This is hearkening to some serious trouble downstream, as you mentioned, because
Yeah.
we can't sustain that hamster wheel of
Mm-hmm.
activity. It's not sustainable.
Yes. Yeah. So we talk a lot in the program about creating spaciousness, which is that time for creativity, not only creativity as applied to your work, right? Like figuring out what is your vision and mission and how do you want to be spending your time, but also it's so important to have that spaciousness in your life for your personal well-being, engaging in activities that give you that flow state and all of that. So we talk about that a lot.
Yeah. Can you work us through the program?
Yes, definitely. So, yes, it's a 12-month program. Um, in terms of the structure or format, we have 3 full-day in-person retreats per year. We have a kickoff event, a mid-year event, and a closing event. And then in between those, we have twice per month virtual sessions that are either 60 or 90 minutes in length. Like I said at the beginning, it truly is a combination of leadership development competencies and coaching. So, in terms of leadership development competencies, we're covering a lot of the leadership competencies that are covered in leadership development programs in academic medicine, especially those that target women faculty like ELAM. So, I've said these words over and over: vision, values, mission, aligning your time with those, which I call ruthlessly reclaiming your time, getting out of that tunneling mode, thinking strategically about your career. We talk a lot about leading others as well as leading self. And networking, sponsorship, increasing visibility, which are so important for career advancement. So we cover all of those, but what I think makes this program very unique and effective is coaching. So I became a certified professional coach after the first year of directing the program in service of this work. I train all of the scholars at the kickoff event in peer coaching skills. So you've talked a lot about coaching on your podcast. So you're aware that it's a really powerful mechanism for goal attainment, improving well-being, professional fulfillment, etc. Um, so when you get a group of overcommitted, often burned out scientist moms together, without any structure, it can very quickly descend into doom and gloom. With peer coaching as the foundation for how we all interact, it keeps us forward thinking, problem solving, expanding possibilities. The scholars are not only benefiting from being coached by peers who have a really deep understanding of their context, but they are also developing and refining with feedback over the course of the program their coaching skills. So they then go on to use those highly transferable skills as a leader, as a mentor, and it helps to create this coaching culture that we're all trying to create in academic medicine.
This is fantastic.
Thank you. Um, So the coaching aspect also really gets each scholar to individualize the leadership competencies to their own unique challenges, as you know, in terms of coaching. And then we have some other types of sessions as well. So 4 times per year, we have a guest mentor come in and do sort of like an informal fireside chat. These are senior scientist mothers from within the institution. At our retreats, we have keynotes from senior executives from within the university. And then we also have some what are called mastermind sessions, which are a little bit different from coaching. So with coaching, you're often the point is for the coachee to come up with their own solutions. You often have the solutions inside of you, and you just haven't taken the time to think them through or figure out how you're going to implement them. Coaching is really great for that. But then mastermind sessions, the scholars are sharing resources, making warm connections for each other. So each scholar brings a win that they'd like to share, a challenge, and a request for support. And then other scholars are sharing, like, oh, this really helped me in this situation, or you should reach out to this person, sort of sharing resources and strategies, which is different from the coaching focused sessions.
Ooh, I love, love, love the win. What am I doing really well? What am I competent and um, grateful for and proud of? The challenge, what's that thing that's keeping me up at night and
Mhm.
kind of just bugging me? And then the request to actually look, getting into the habit of I need some help. I'd love it if someone could point me to, or
Mhm.
learning to ask for help versus always saying, I have to, I
Yeah.
should, I must,
Right.
I need to. It's not always I.
Mhm.
We don't have to necessarily go get another degree in whatever. You can ask a question and somebody could do
Mhm.
something for you very efficiently. And I think many of us come from that hard knock school of I can do it myself, or if I ask for
Mhm.
help, I'm perceived as being inadequate. So I love
Mhm.
the win, the challenge, the request for support layered onto that coaching mindset and framework. This is
Mhm.
awesome. Do you, Amory, just like kind of operational, do you have co-presenters or are you running this throughout the year, other than the mastermind sessions and the expert senior mentors? Do you run this all the sessions yourself, or do you have a team of people, internal or external, who help you moderate, facilitate sessions?
Mhm. So I am facilitating all of the sessions myself, except for those guest mentor sessions where really the guest mentors have done it for a couple of years. So they run those conversations themselves. And then we bring in those keynote speakers at a couple of the retreats. But otherwise, yes, I'm facilitating all of the sessions. The the scholars have pre-work that they complete before some of the sessions to get their wheels turning on the different leadership competencies or topics that we'll be coaching around that session. We try to make those easy to complete, digestible. So often it is a podcast episode or like an HBR article or a reflective worksheet. Um, and then we have some standalone peer coaching triad sessions where each scholar is playing the role of the coach, the coachee, and the observer within a 90-minute session. So they're bringing a challenge and then coaching one another for the 90 minutes. So for those, I'm not doing a lot. I'm just floating between the Zoom rooms and providing feedback to the coach in service of improving their coaching skills as they go.
Amory, this is so cool. Tell us about the outcomes. What have you learned? What have the participants gained? What aha moments have you had from this experience now in year 4?
Yeah, so as a good scientist, we're of course collecting pre and post data. So we do have statistically significant gains in some key areas. So greater psychological empowerment, reduced burnout, improved self-efficacy, a greater sense of belonging, which we know is linked to retaining faculty. And then we also have reduced work family as well as family work conflict. So, work interfering with family and family interfering with work are both reduced. And parental guilt as well goes down.
Wow, 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 wow. I hope you're going to publish this, or have you already published this and I missed it?
We're working on the manuscript now.
Yay, accountability. We're going to
Yeah.
bring you back when that manuscript is published and we're going to forward to everyone. This is just genius. I love it so much. And you just said something that um, the last two outcomes made me think of the partners, the dads and the fathers. I
Mhm.
imagine as, scientist mothers, there are probably a large proportion of those mothers who have partners at home, and I bet there's a lot of education and asking for help and like, hey, Wonder Twins activate. I am having a hard time now, husband, wife, whatever the partner is at home.
Mhm.
Um, I need some help. Something has to change. I can't keep doing this. So I imagine there's a lot of conversations and perhaps coaching around a system level, like as a family unit.
Mhm.
um, let's experiment. I'm a scientist. Let's try this new approach to managing the household or the tasks or the chores or the
Mhm.
activities or the
Mhm.
togetherness or whatever it is. I imagine it's just like we said back at the institution and how these institutions were not built to support this way of life. On the flip side is the home life is oftentimes structured that in a way that is not conducive to this new way of being. So I
Mhm.
wonder if you have any just kind of anecdotal evidence of how those conversations have, how you've heard of or seen impact that the whole family system at home, the bringing up others to like work together and being more independent and supporting scientist moms better at home.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, so this does come up a lot, especially during our session where we talk about time management and aligning how you're spending your time with your top priorities, what I call ruthlessly reclaiming your time. Some scientist moms have super supportive partners and they feel like they've got that locked down, and that's where the coaching comes in, right? Maybe they're looking to have conversations around boundaries more in the work context. But a lot of scientist moms are commiserating about shouldering the largest burden of the home and family responsibilities and all of the cognitive labor that sort of is often not visible to partners. And so, yes, having these conversations come up a lot and can be really challenging to think through and to approach at home. I do provide lots of additional resources for folks who are in that situation. So, Eve Rodsky's Fair Play book and system. I have the cards on my steps right now. With my husband and I have had it on our to-do list forever to go through that system. I also provide information about the couples therapist that I've my husband and I have worked with for a long time on around these sorts of issues as well. So
That's
yeah, it comes
wonderful.
up a lot.
Wonderful growth. Yeah, lots of opportunity all around. So I think this
Mhm.
is a great example of taking the time to invest in this program. And you're obviously, there's interest, there's positive outcomes, and and I'm sure at Pitt, this kind of word has traveled that this investment, because it does take time. And a lot of
Yeah.
people saying, I don't have time to do a leadership program. I don't have
Mhm.
time to do coaching. I don't have time. It's just that kind of old saw about, well, if you're not going to make time for it now, you're going to make time for the future. And it may not be at your own choosing. It may
Mhm.
result in health challenges or career
Right.
challenges, relational struggles. So
Yes.
it is the best investment of
Mhm.
time to invest
Mhm.
in our own personal growth and development. And your program is brilliant. And I'm so thankful that you came on and shared it with us.
Thank you so much.
How can people get in touch with you in addition to going to the facultyfactory.org website to see all the links and all the wonderful information you've provided? How can they get in touch with you and learn more about your program, Amory?
Yeah, so in addition to the program at Pitt, I have established an LLC called Mastermind Executive Leadership to offer a 6-month version of the program to scientist moms from any institution. I run 2 6-month cohorts per year. So interested scientist moms can reach out about that. We're launching a cohort this January, and then we'll launch another one in July. And then for those who are maybe not ready for such a time intensive, it's an hour and a half a week, but a time intensive investment. I recently created the Mother Mind Network. So this is a free online community for scientist mothers, where we have curated resources, a lot of the resources that I've mentioned today. We have discussion boards like sharing where we share our personal and professional wins, whether that's getting a grant to your child pooping on the potty, all of it is welcome and celebrated. We talk about sharing our joy, like those creative pursuits that we're involved in, the things that we do just for us to help normalize that. But most importantly, we have 4 events per month on there. So there's Connect, which is a come as you are coffee chat with no agenda. There's 2 co-working sessions per month called Align, where we come and you're strongly encouraged to work on your own priorities. So not something your boss wants you to do, not something, not your inbox, but your priorities. We say what we're going to work on, turn off cameras, work for an hour, and then check back in at the end for accountability. We have uplift sessions, which are the mastermind circles that I mentioned, where you share a win, a challenge, and a request for support. And then finally, we have Elevate, which is a workshop series. So we recently had one on negotiation. We have an upcoming one on ethically using AI to boost productivity and efficiency. So yeah, that's open to everyone. Well, all scientist mothers.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Dr. Treble-Barna, I am just in awe of all you have built and all you're doing. It's amazing. And I can see, as your friend from way back said, she was so right. You need to be doing this. You were made to do this. You do it so well. And thank you for what you've done for our community. And folks, go to facultyfactory.org. You're going to see a transcript. You're going to see the links to Amery's podcast here, all her information. And certainly you can email her at Amery Treble. So it's Amery dot Treble, Treble, at chp.edu. That might be the quickest. Amory, I'll leave the parting comments to you. And again, thank you so much for being on the Faculty Factory podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I guess my parting words are for any scientist moms who are identifying with some of the challenges that we've talked about today. It is possible to make changes and to truly thrive rather than just constantly feeling like you're in that survival mode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Faculty Factory podcast. We are a faculty development community sharing tools to build academic leaders in healthcare. Maybe you want to be interviewed on the podcast? Please visit facultyfactory.org/contact and send me a message there. The Faculty Factory podcast and website is sponsored by the Office of Faculty Affairs at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas.